Hello and welcome. I'm Rob O'Regan, Global Content Director with IDG. Thanks for joining us. Today we're here to talk about streamlining and strengthening your security. Security teams face a heavy burden keeping pace with the ever-evolving attack landscape, with new threats cropping up almost daily. In some cases, technology is actually added to the challenge instead of mitigating it. That's because a complex and growing mix of security solutions often leads to a patchwork of consoles and reports that are difficult to monitor and manage across the enterprise. This lack of integration and visibility across security tools can increase risk. I'm excited for what promises to be a great discussion about how your organization can simplify security management without compromising the enterprise-grade protections you require. I'm joined by Vasu Jakhal, Corporate Vice President of Security, Compliance, and Identity with Microsoft. Vasu is passionate about building a safer and resilient world for all. Her team is responsible for marketing strategy and execution and works closely with engineering on shaping product strategy and roadmaps. Welcome, Vasu.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Also with us is Doug Howell, Director of IT at the Little Potato Company. Headquartered in Alberta, Canada, the Little Potato Company is a family-owned business with 400 employees, and Doug manages all the company's IT and security operations. Welcome, Doug.
Hi, thanks very much for having me.
So Vasu, you have an interesting perspective on security. Can you start by sharing that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So first of all, it's absolutely lovely to be here with Doug and you. Actually, the Little Potato Company is one of my favorite stories all the time. So I'm excited to get this going. And coming back to your question, Rob, I do believe that if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, safety and security is a fundamental human need. And today, as the paradigm shifts, and it is about digital safety and digital security, it's even more critical for us to really understand that and for security to become about empowering people. Because at the heart of it, digital security is about people. It's about empowering defenders to defend and protect employees, their data, their work, their personal safety, so they can do more, they can create more, they can have trust in the very technology that connects us all. And lastly, I'll say that security should be and is for all organizations and all people. Everyone has a deep desire to be safe, and that is what this should be about. And without feeling safe, we really cannot build the greatest organizations. We cannot really be our best selves and thrive.
Great perspective. Doug, how does that align with your approach?
Well, I agree that people are our greatest asset. And so as much as possible, we want to keep our people as productive as possible. And so if we can have strong security that doesn't get in their way, that's fantastic. And for IT as well, we're always asked to do more with less, be more efficient. And so having a platform and tools that work very well together makes IT more efficient. We can spend more time doing things that drive more business value, more business facing.
So security operations were complex even before the pandemic disrupted the workplace. The technology stacks are often a complicated jumble of point solutions designed to address multiple threat types from different endpoints, apps, services, and networks. As I noted at the top, this patchwork approach can create gaps in protections that bad actors can exploit. In a Forrester Consulting study, 59% of organizations acknowledge the challenges of correlating security alerts from disparate technologies to detect threats. So Vasu, from your perspective, how prevalent is this issue of increasing complexity and the risk it introduces?
Yeah, great question, Rob. I believe that post-security posture is often rooted in complexity, and complexity is one of the biggest challenges that we're all dealing with today. And think about it. We have more data, more devices, more identities, more infrastructure, and this year has been a massive transformational shift and really a paradigm shift when it comes to all things digital and security. We saw 2 years worth of digital transformation in 2 months, and that means now people have to embrace remote secure work in new and different ways. You add more digital attack surfaces and more sophisticated attacks to this, and you have this big complexity equation. Well, what makes it even worse is there are more than 650 vendors, I believe, today in security. And so there's a number of point solutions, fragmented solutions, and where there are silos, threat actors see opportunities for exploit. So this complexity makes it incredibly hard for security operations practitioners and leaders to find the threats that really, really matter, that needle in the haystack, and how do they secure their organizations. So we're dealing with that complexity, and not to forget, but there's a cost element to all of this, because more complexity means more cost, and now you have that added pressure on security operations team. So to sum it all, tons of complexity, which means harder to find that needle in the haystack, aggravated by sophistication of attacks, by increased cost and point solutions, which make it harder for security professionals to find the things that matter most and secure their organizations.
That complexity can make life harder on end users as well if they have to log in multiple times a day, for example, or if they can't easily access the information that they need to get their work done. Vasu, what's the best way to balance that security with productive end user experiences?
My fundamental philosophy is that security should be about empowering and increasing productivity, not vice versa, right? So it shouldn't get in the way of productivity. Great security is all about empowerment. And we saw that aggravated this year because identity, which is the foundation of a modern org and the foundation of security, has now reached a critical place in securing orgs. Think about it. Today, all of us work with multiple apps. In fact, I believe the average number of apps that uses 35. And if we are to log in and log out and manage multiple identities, that creates a ton of complexity. So some of the things that we can solve for and we can increase productivity by is having single identity, which manages all your apps that you can log into easily, that has seamless user experience, that is backstopped by great security and great compliance. And there are some stats. We did some economic impact studies as well, Rob. We did one with Forrester. And I believe, if I have my numbers correct here, that just by adopting a single identity system, employees were able to save 10 minutes a week on average. And while that may not seem like a whole lot, that translates into a lot of savings over the years. It was in the roundabouts of $7 to $8 million over a couple of years. And lastly, more than anything, is peace of mind. You don't have to worry about where the passwords are. You don't have to think about whether you're causing any insider risks or you're causing any threat breaches, because now you have this foundational system which is helping you. So I think these are some of the things that we need to think through, and identity becomes paramount in this new world.
Yeah, I'd gladly take a few minutes of increased productivity every day for sure. Doug, you recently had a security scare involving identity and user credentials. What can you share about the incident and how you addressed it?
So first of all, echo, we're huge believers in identity being the foundation of security and that whole umbrella of zero trust. Because of that, the first things we did was we implemented Azure AD conditional access and multi-factor authentication going back a couple of years at least already. And then soon after that, we implemented Intune to leverage compliance on our corporate devices, corporate and personal devices as well. So that combination really showed its value when we had users' credentials get compromised, because we had this Azure AD security suite is looking at not only at that identity coming in, but what device is it coming from. So we actually found that device, that attempted access was stopped immediately because of the various signals that Azure AD was looking at. It looked at, well, this user is coming from an operating system that he hasn't accessed from in the past 6 months or whatever it looked at. He's accessing from a country that is unusual. He's accessing now from 2 other places in the United States. Well, that's impossible travel. And then, of course, the device wasn't compliant. So this fired off an impossible travel alert within Microsoft Cloud App Security. We actually feed those alerts directly into our managed service provider's ticketing system. So at this point, IT is formally engaged to look into this incident. It's on their task list to investigate. What was really powerful is that it actually guided the user himself to self-remediate the issue. So it's determined his password is most likely compromised based on the behavior it's seeing. So when that user went to go access from his device, he was actually prompted to change his password, which was verified with multi-factor authentication, which he had control of. So the issue is then remediated. By the time IT actually went to talk to this user to say, hey, what's going on here? It looks like you have a compromise. The user's already back working, and there was never any actual breach. So we've actually had another incident very recently happen, very similar, another compromised password, and a common attack that's come up lately has been attacking legacy protocols. So this user's account was attacked against Exchange ActiveSync, which can be harder to secure than more modern protocols. What our team had done there was we've turned off all the legacy protocols, and we use Outlook Mobile exclusively for our email on mobile devices. So again, that attack was stopped, alerts were fired, and the IT team engaged with that user, in this case, to change their password. I don't think it had been guided automatically, but guided that user to change their password. That's where it really shows the value to me is any number of systems could do detection, but that latency between detection and response in our experience so far has been that it's non-existent. So we don't actually have breach because we have detection and response happen, and then in some cases, the users are guided right to remediation themselves without any involvement of IT. Very efficient and completely avoiding breach.
Those are great examples. Thanks for sharing that. So we've talked about time savings. We've talked about enhanced security. The whole concept around streamlining and strengthening with an integrated approach provides another important benefit as well. Vasu, can you talk a little bit about the potential cost savings of this approach?
Yeah, delighted to. And before I get there, I just wanted to do a shout out to Doug because we're so proud to serve you, Doug. That is a great story. And I love how you use identity to secure the posture. We're big believers in zero trust and assume breach and verify everything. It's just a great story, which highlights how you can be proactive about your security needs. And it comes back to the messages, Rob, that we were talking about how great security can enhance your productivity. You can be proactive about that. You can be timely about that. So just wanted to do a shout out. We are really proud to serve you and your team, Doug. So coming back to your cost question, Rob, we actually did a study recently and we did a survey and we found that while security continues to be the top critical spend, it's pretty obvious given this conversation, and that we saw that security teams are increasing their spend for both security, compliance, identity. There's also a lot of budget pressures. So 82% of security professionals report feeling pressure about their budgets going through this calendar year with everything going around in our world. And that by consolidating solutions, we can get effective cost savings. And I think this is where we, Microsoft, believe we have a strong differentiator because our whole value proposition is based on end-to-end across compliance, across identity, across security, multi-cloud and multi-platform and third-party integration and that seamless experience. And when you have that and you have great AI and great automation, you can get effective cost savings. So some of the stats that I want to leave you with is by using Microsoft Security today, you can replace up to 40 disparate products. That's a lot. And you have seamless integration with built-in experiences. So that's immediate cost savings that you're getting there. This translates into over a million savings from just reduced user downtime. Remember that stat I gave you about how just by having a great identity system in place and a user can save 10 minutes a week. That's a lot. And then in addition to all of this, there's the risk that is there's a risk that is caused by threats today and that is exposed by siloed systems. And by using end-to-end security systems, end-to-end solutions, there's a 60% reduction in the likelihood of a data breach. So that's a lot as well. And that comes not only just with cost savings, but truly peace of mind, which is what security is about.
So for all the talk about streamlining, there's no silver bullet, obviously. Doug, what's your ideal state look like and how close are you to achieving it?
Well, I'm not sure we'll ever hit ideal state. Cyber threats and risks continue to change with every new technology that comes out and as our business changes. But there's a number of things within the Microsoft portfolio we're certainly very paying a lot of attention to. Passwordless is one. We would love to get to a state where No, our users don't have passwords at all. We've certainly moved the bar on that a lot. We've heavily adopted Windows Hello for Business, so that a lot of our users on their corporate laptops are logging in with their face or with a PIN or some as a fingerprint. But we'd love to get where employees don't have a password at all, even into our manufacturing plants, which has different challenges where they're moving between different devices, right? They're not using a single dedicated device. But we know that there's a team at Microsoft thinking about those things and working with partners that might make hardware to complement those scenarios. So we're paying a lot of attention to that. We're continuing to work with on the identity story as well with a number of our line of business application partners. If we don't have them into that single sign-on scenario yet, we continue to work with some of them to get to that point. We want to get everything we can in our portfolio behind single sign-on with SAML or OAuth. We want to feed identity information that we have available, like properties like name and department and manager, using technologies like SCIM, which again, the Microsoft team is helping push forward. We're actually just starting to look at using Azure Sentinel. It had already, I think, in a week, saw some value. We saw some legacy protocol stuff getting hit, so that was really neat. My architect reported back, again, just within a few days of turning it on to try it out, that he had found some things. So that's really interesting. And just overall, I'd say continuing our zero trust journey. We'd love to actually get to a scenario where we have that concept of CorpNet and a trusted place within our enterprise. We'd actually like to just get rid of that and make everything internet facing. Everything internet, everything tied around that identity and device trust.
Great, good perspective. Vasu, what does an ideal state look from your point of view?
Yeah, I love how Doug answered, like, what is the ideal state? So I think security is a team sport. It requires all of us, and I'm really excited about a number of things here, Rob. I'm excited that the cloud has given this hyperscale. I'm excited that AI and automation now enable us to parse trillions of signals, have millions and millions of automated actions. And the cloud and AI and automation has really given this rise to this new modern security tools, which at the heart of it are all about simplification and keeping the customer at the center. And I think when we put the customer at the center, when we really understand those customer needs, then we are going to build that ideal state, because that's what this is about. There are a couple of things I'm excited about, and these are emerging trends, and Doug talked about it, so I will pick on it and add more. He talked about Sentinel, which is our SIM solution, and we're very excited about that, because through the power of this cloud native and AI and automation, we should be able to find that proverbial needle in the haystack better. We should be able to get end-to-end visibility, and we should be able to have great threat prevention, detection, and response. And what makes it even more exciting is we now have the combination of SIM and XDR, which is extended detection and response, through our Defender portfolio, which is all about threat protection, so threat prevention, detection, and response. And I'm really excited about these two big things in security coming together to solve problems, north, south, east, west, when it comes to threats in different ways. I also am excited about a couple of really foundational elements that Microsoft Security is about, and this ideal state, and I'm going to come to that in a moment. But here are some of the foundational components. One is the world is complex, reduce complexity. Like, keep that at the heart of it. Like, think of your customers and where that journey starts, and how do you want to simplify? How do you break down silos? Because as I said, when there are silos, threat actors are going to exploit those silos. They see opportunities. Second, zero trust. You've got to assume breach. You have got to verify everything. And this is the story of great identity, meet great management, meet great security. And thirdly, our customers are not starting from zero. They're starting from their own environments. Many times, these environments are hybrid. On-prem, cloud, multi-cloud. So really embrace that. Have multi-cloud, multi-platform postures so that you can, again, offer that end-to-end view. So those are some of the foundational elements. And you asked me about the ideal state, and I'll come back to it. I'm a massive sci-fi fan. So I grew up with Star Trek, live long and prosper, right? That's what it's about. So So bringing my sci-fi and Star Trek mind into this, I think the ideal state of security would be like that big Minority Report, if you remember Tom Cruise doing the swoosh swish, and being able to see what's happening in the world of threats around us. What are the threats which are most relevant to us? What is more information about these threats? How do we solve them, prevent what we can prevent, detect and respond to what Doug was saying earlier, like instantly, you're just acting on it. Figure out how to optimize controls to get better threat protection. Call the experts when you need through a button in this portal, and voila, right? All backed by a great identity system and great compliance. So to me, like that is the future state that I'm really excited about in modern, beautiful, amazing ways. And as someone quoted, the future is already here, just not evenly distributed. So we have a lot of chunks of this, and we are excited at Microsoft Security to serve customers like Doug and continue moving on this trend to get to our Minority Report.
It's hard not to get excited hearing you describe it. So this has been a great discussion. I'd love to get some final takeaways or summary points from each of you. Doug, you mind going first?
Sure. Well, I'll give a non-technical perspective here. The other differentiator for us with Microsoft has been Microsoft's become a really easy company to do business with. There's no discrimination on the number of employees we have or the amount of revenue we have in a year. We get to buy the same security that Microsoft is selling to the Fortune 500, the Fortune 50 governments, which I think would be very difficult at our size to get from other vendors. Other vendors tend to have things that make them difficult to deal with. They have multi-year contracts. They might have high initial costs to put in solutions, especially when they aren't cloud solutions. So we don't have any of those obstacles with Microsoft. So that's where we get Vasu is described as having world-class security. I'm complimented by that, but it's that ease of doing business that's really put us on that path. And as an example, this showed itself really well in the early days of the pandemic when we issued laptops to many more employees as we were moving people home that had always worked just traditionally in an office. Again, we were able to pivot our licensing structure with Microsoft within a single day. Right, working with our managed service provider, which is a cloud solution provider with Microsoft, we just asked them to make a licensing change, and there we go. We have the full Microsoft security suite covering those employees as they moved home. And then I'd just like to offer some thanks. I'd like to thank the IT team that I have behind me. I've mentioned we a lot of times, and it's certainly not been me that has done all these things. I have a very strong team that I just have the pleasure of working with every day. And I like to think what sets us apart is we've created this culture where we really embrace change and we continuously improve. And we always keep both user experience and security top of mind, not just in security initiatives, but any project we're working on. And that mentality is especially important where products like Microsoft 365 and all cloud services that are worth their salt these days are continuously improving, and there's changes you need to incorporate into your workflows and user experience. And thank you. I'm also thankful for the small part I get to play in our company's mission to feed the world better through creamer potatoes.
Great takeaways. Thanks, Doug. Vasu, what about your closing thoughts?
Well, I do want some cream of potatoes now. It makes me incredibly hungry. Every time I listen to your story, Doug, I'm like, I need some potatoes. No, what a great summary. And Rob, I'll come back to security is about people. It's about empowering people. It's about making people live their best selves. It's about helping people achieve more productivity, more whatever they want to achieve out of their lives. So that is what security is about. It's about empowering defenders to help their organizations and their people have great security postures to meet that very fundamental need. Security is also a journey, and we at Microsoft believe in progress over perfection. We believe that it's a team sport, that we are in this together, our customers, our partners, and that ultimately we have to keep our customer at the center and figure out how to protect them from evil, from all the threats that are out there. Here are a couple of things that you can do today to make your organization safer and more resilient. Doug touched on this tremendously. Use a great, strong identity solution. Identity is the foundation of the new modern organization. Use an identity solution that simplifies your end user experience and integrates with everything else so that you get a great security posture. Have a plan to keep your software up to date. So when you get those patches, patch, get a handle on all your devices coming into your network, from phones, from laptops, IoT, all of that, and try to understand what that looks like. What are you using them for, and how do you connect them to your SIEM and your XDR solutions so you have comprehensive protection? And then lastly, find ways to streamline and consolidate your security and take advantage of end-to-end integration, not just on cybersecurity, but compliance, identity, management, so you have that great purview into your organizations. I will end this by saying that you don't have to make trade-offs between streamlining and strengthening your security. With the right approach, the right partners, the right solutions, you should be able to do both. And security is for all. So I'm excited about the future that we get to build together. I'm excited about reimagining security for all of us and for really streamlining and strengthening. So those are some of my key takeaways.
Great closing thoughts, great insights all around. Vasu and Doug, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks also to you for joining us today, obviously. We hope you found the discussion informative and helpful. For more information, please check out the additional resources on this page. For IDG, CSO, and Microsoft, be well, everyone.